नमोऽस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यम्बकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिकाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय
Hi friends, this is NJ, host on this channel. So we are going to discuss few more Hindu yogas which I have got their mention in the Hindu Palmistry books. You know, when it comes to these yogas, they are just a certain planetary combination marked in our palms, which includes lines, mounts and fingers, which indicates fortune, whether it could be in the form of some Raj Yoga indicating good position, good authority, whether it could be in the form of some Dhan Yoga, Dhan means wealth, in the form of person becoming lucky, remaining lucky in the form of attaining good wealth. And this could also be some dreaded combination which would indicate some ill combination, which would indicate some kind of bad health. So the same which happens in astrology as well, that certain planetary combination, the combination involving certain nakshatras, zodiac signs, the houses which indicate towards certain fortune, same can be looked at on the palm as well. And the approach which I follow at the time when we were discussing independently all the verticals of the palm, we have discussed the lines independently, we have discussed the fingers, we have discussed the mounts. I always try to give you the counter explanation, the logics, the supporting, because we have to evolve with the time, era, period, the country in which we are living. Someone who has written a book in India, that might have written basis the culture which is dominant here, but if you would try to replicate the same in a culture which is predominant in Europe, in west, so that might remain to be vary. So at the time discussing all those verticals, I try to give you the best possible counter explanation. But when it comes to these yogas, they are sacred. I'm not going to give you any supporting, I'm not going to give you any counter explanation. This is how it is. They are sacred, they are very pious for us, for Hindus. So I'm just going to recite what do they mean independently. So let's begin our discussion on these different yogas. The first is the Saraswati Yoga. Saraswati Yoga means like Saraswati is the goddess of learning, music, all kind of art, literature. So whenever this yoga is formed on the palm, like in astrology, let's first understand it from the perspective of astrology. In astrology, this yoga gets formed with the combination of Jupiter, the planet of righteousness, learning, planet Mercury, the planet of intelligence, speech, and the planet Venus, the planet of art, creativity, beauty. So Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, if they are placed either in the angular houses, the Kendra houses, the Trikona houses. Angular houses are 1st, 4th, 7th, 10th. Trikona houses are 5th and 9th, and the second house. Then this lead to this combination in our palm. If we have to look at it, so what has been written by our our sages is that any point of time you will find any line from the mount of the Jupiter coming towards the mount of the moon. So any line from the mount of the Jupiter coming towards the mount of the moon, and same time there is one more line like this. So this is what they have ascribed as the Saraswati Yoga, a line from the mount of the Jupiter which needs to be in a very prominent state without any affliction. Index finger, if it would be longer, then this would also add on to the qualities. Then a line from the mount of the Jupiter coming to the mount of the moon, and same ways another line from the mount of the moon going towards the mount of the Jupiter. Now you would find it difficult how to diagnose whether the line is coming from here or there. So I do not have any supporting to give it to you. My job here is to just make you understand what this yoga means. This indicates the Saraswati Yoga. The person would remain to be very learned, person would remain to be very scholar. If he'll take any form of art as his career, as his chosen field, person will also do very good in that. So this also indicates good oratory skills. So this is with the Saraswati Yoga. Next comes the Shankh Yoga. Shankh which also means conch shell. So any point of time you'll find from the mount of the Venus, if the mount of the Venus is very prominent, well formed, and from there you'll find the line of Saturn and the line of Sun originating from over there. So something like this and something like this kind of combination where the line of Sun and the line of Saturn has originated from inside the mount of the Venus. This leads to this Shankh Yoga, which indicates that the person will enjoy a very good marital life. He will not face any trouble from his marital life. He will also have good wealth in his life, and he'll also do good in his career. This is with the Shankh Yoga. Next comes the VEER Yog. VEER in English means brave. So whenever you will find any kind of circle, kind of sign on the mount of the inner Mars. So as you people know that the terrain allotted to the planet Mars is the center portion of our palm. Mars, this is the plane of the Mars, this is the inner Mars which tells about our physical strength, this is the outer Mars which just tells about our mental strength. So any point of time you'll find this kind of circle kind of pattern on a prominent inner Mars. This would just indicate towards the VEER Yog, which is also known as a brave, combination of being brave. So with this combination in ancient times, this was seen that people with this kind of combination used to do good in the warfare, military and all the Martian related profile. Next comes the Chaap Yog. The Chaap Yog gets formed whenever the mount of the Jupiter is prominent, well formed, and from a very small minor lines you will find this kind of, cross kind of pattern getting formed on the mount of the Jupiter. So there will be no other sign, just the small lines making a cross kind of formation. In any case, we have understood it that the cross is considered as very pious on the mount of the Jupiter. It just indicates good marital harmony. But right now our logic is just to understand these yogas, what do they mean. So a symbol of cross being formed on the mount of the Jupiter with index finger longer than the ring finger, prominent state of mount of Jupiter would indicate the Chaap Yoga. Person remains to be very spiritual, person remains to be very righteous, person will have all the good qualities which Jupiter indicates in the form of marital harmony, marital bliss, righteousness, spirituality, person being intelligent and wise. So this is what this yoga means, what has been written in our scriptures. Now comes the BHIKSHUK Yog. BHIKSHUK, which in English means beggar's combination. So what they have explained in this Samudik Shastra is that any point of time you will find on the line of fate, line of Saturn. So this is the line of Saturn, and on it you will find a cross kind of pattern, big cross on the mount of the Saturn. So this would just indicate towards that the person will not have very good financial state. So this is what has been written in our Samudik Shastra. And along with that, because all these things which indicate good finances. So let's say for example, along with that you'll find the mount of Mercury to be little bit protruded and shifted outwards towards the percussion and with white spots on it. So that also has been mentioned as a combination towards bad financial state. This we have discussed, and along with that if you'll find the line of Mercury to be islanded. So this is the line of Mercury which you'll find to be in an islanded state. So this would also indicate towards this beggar combination what has been written in our scriptures. So this is with the BHIKSHUK Yog or the beggar's combination. Next comes the Diwaliya Yog. Diwaliya means, Diwali is a Hindi word. In English it means insolvency. So someone who would have gone bankrupt and someone who will go bankrupt. So what all are the combinations? Once again I'll say, don't try to find out any scientific logic into all of this. It's just like that if you have taken interest, because when it comes to the science of palmistry, there is a different way of approach which Chinese palmistry follows, what Runi palmistry follows, what Egyptian palmistry follows. This is all what are the combinations which I'm just trying to tell you. So just understand them if you have your interest in the Hindu palmistry. So when it comes to the Diwaliya Yog or the combination of insolvency, that gets spotted when soever you will find the fate line to be very weak and very deformed, like the way I always say, the secondary lines are not found in everyone's hand. It's best that either these lines should not be possible, or if they are possible, they should be in a good state. So whenever you will find the fate line to be short and weak and badly fragmented, so let's say for example something like this kind of badly formed line of Saturn, and along with that the line of Mercury has got an island. So this would also indicate towards the combination of insolvency, that the person will face lot of financial crunches and a time would come when he'll declare himself bankrupt. So this is with the Diwaliya Yog. Next comes the CHORI Yog, the yoga of theft. So in ancient times, all those people in whose houses the theft used to take place too often, so there was a certain combination which has also got mentioned in our scriptures. So in today's time, I don't know whether this would be evolved with some kind of internet frauds or what kind of frauds, but this is what my job here is to tell you, when it comes to the CHORI Yog, means the combination of theft at your home. So that was, whensoever you'll find the mount of Mercury to be well developed, and along with that you'll find this kind of net kind of pattern on the mount of the Mercury. So this would indicate that at this particular person's home, theft would take place too often. And in today's time, this could be related with the internet fraud, you being not able to, someone has taken, taken money from you and he's not returning it back. So this could be, taken and understood from so many logics. But what has been written is that net on the mount of the Mercury, along with that on the third flange of the little finger, if you will find this kind of cross kind of pattern, so this would also mean the same thing. Along with that, if you will find many vertical lines on the third flange of the ring finger, this would also indicate towards the same thing. So all these things are standalone independent things, these are not in combination. So the main combination of theft what has been written in our scripture is that when you will find this kind of net on the mount of the Mercury, and along with that there are other combinations as well standalone, one being a symbol of cross on the third flange of the little finger, too many vertical lines on the third flange of the your ring finger. So this is with the combination of theft. Next comes the JOOA Yog, the combination of gambling. So this is something which I have already explained you at the time when I made a video on the signs of gambler, that our ring finger just tells about our extrovertness, and this ring finger also tells about risk taking ability. So any point of time you will find this ring finger to be exceptionally longer in someone's hand, someone's palm, that it has reached to to the length of the middle finger. So the exceptionally long ring finger, that too matching the length of the middle finger, which would be very rare. So this would just indicate towards that the person will play markets, play stock, and in older times this was termed and labeled as the combination of gambling as the JOOA Yog. So JOOA Yog means ring finger exceptionally longer, matching the length of the middle finger. Next comes the VISHNU Yog. VISHNU Yoga is whenever you will find a symbol of this kind of a lotus kind of pattern anywhere on the palm, this would just indicate towards the formation of a VISHNU Yog. This just indicate that the person will have all the good Jupiterian qualities in the form of person will remain to be very righteous, person will be very wise, person will have interest in religious austerities, person will have good education, good career, good marital harmony. So this is what this sign indicate. I have already told you, the history of Kiro, the most revered name in the in the field of, he came to India to learn the science of palmistry from the Brahmins, Hindu Brahmins, and then he went back and made his name in the whole world. So all these signs have got their mention. I do not have any rational scientific explanation to give it to you, but yeah, this is how it is. The symbol of lotus on the palm just mean that the person will have all the good Jupiterian qualities which I have just explained. Last is the Nabhas Yog or the MUNI Yog. So what is this? So Nabhas Yog is formed whenever you will find the the auspicious symbol of swastik under the any of the four fingers. So something like this. Anytime you will find this kind of symbol anywhere on the all the four mounts at the bottom of all the fingers. So this would just indicate that the person has the Nabhas Yog. So this also means righteousness, spirituality, person being very good in his approach towards life, person will have the knowledge of scriptures, person will take interest in all the divine pursuits, and his career, education and friends, he'll remain lucky in all those aspects. And one thing, Nabhas Yog is being labeled for all the this kind of benediction sign, the swastik sign is found at the bottom of all the fingers. But specifically, if this sign has been found under the index finger, on the mount of the Jupiter, here has got a different meaning. Here this is known as the MUNI Yog. MUNI, which in English means monk. So here on the Mount of the Jupiter, this kind of sacred symbol of benediction, swastik, means the MUNI Yog. It means that the person will not take much interest in the worldly affairs. He would like little bit of the loneliness. He would take more interest in the meditation, in contemplation, introspection, and he can achieve great heights in any of the spiritual and religious pursuit. So this is the MUNI Yog. So this is all what I wanted to say. Please guys, don't try to find out any logic in all these things. This is how it is. These yogas are just for your sake if you have interest in the Hindu palmistry. So for further more updates and notification on palmistry, please subscribe my channel and like my Facebook page. Thanks.